The Council of Velker was silent, its grand chamber echoing with tension as the ruling high matriarchs debated punishment for their wayward princess. She disobeyed a direct decree, allied with insurgents, risked exposure to human realms, hissed matriarch Velse, her long neck arching in fury. She is headstrong, but she is still Velkari. Her blood runs royal, offered matriarch Solina. And that is why the punishment must fit her arrogance, the high voice concluded. She shall be bound in soul and law to a human male, a mate beneath her station to humble her, to break her pride. A collective murmur rippled through the court. Across the galaxy, in a quiet Earth city called Pine Valley, Cale Foster was unaware that his name had just been sealed into royal judgment. Cale was a mechanic, the kind with grease under his nails and a heart that beat for machines. He had no family left, only his father's old house, a collection of vintage tools, and the occasional visit from the nosy neighbor Mrs. Langley. So, when a 7-foot-tall alien woman appeared in his backyard, shackled in light-bonded cuffs and accompanied by a silver-suited envoy who barely explained anything, Cale did what any rational man would do. He fainted. When he awoke, the envoy was gone and she remained. She stood with arms crossed, golden eyes glowing in the dusk, skin a soft silver blue that shimmered with each breath. Her long white hair flowed down her back like silk threads woven from moonlight. I am Lysera, Princess of Velker. You are my punishment. Cale blinked. Excuse me. I am to be mated to you. I am not allowed to return home until I have served one full cycle. Your time 1 year. Learning humility through human cohabitation. Cale stared. This is a joke, right? Is Ashton Kutcher still around? Am I being punked? Lysera narrowed her gaze. You will not touch me. You will not speak to me unnecessarily. I am here under duress. Do not mistake my presence for interest. And with that, she walked into his house. The first month was pure chaos. Lysera refused to eat human food, complained about the water pressure, and spent hours rearranging furniture to fit her aesthetic resonance. She turned Cale's guest room into what he called a cross between a yoga studio and a moon temple. But Cale, patient to a fault, adapted. He cooked separate meals, bought new filters, upgraded the shower head. Not because he had to, but because somewhere beneath her cold veneer, he saw the flicker of something lonely. One night, he found her on the roof, sitting cross-legged, eyes scanning the stars. You miss home? He asked gently. She didn't look at him. My people thrive on structure. Here everything is chaos. Emotions are loud. Your world smells unfinished. Cale chuckled. That's pretty accurate. She turned then, studying him with an unreadable expression. Why are you kind to me? Cale shrugged. Because being unkind costs more. It was the first time she didn't answer with contempt. Silence, yes, but not hatred. By the 3rd month, routines formed. Cale would leave early for the garage. Lysera began assisting quietly, diagnosing problems with uncanny accuracy. She understood machines probably better than he did. Customers started requesting her. She said nothing, just folded her arms and let Cale take the payments. They shared occasional meals, hers still strange, synthesized from alien packs, but now eaten at the same table. She spoke more, asked about Earth customs, observed human connection with something like suspicion or longing. And then came the night of the storm. The power went out just as Cale was climbing into bed. Wind howled like a banshee, rattling the windows. Cale went to check on the generator, and found Lysera curled in the corner of the living room, knees to her chest, shaking. He knelt beside her, unsure. Lysera, She jerked away from his hand. I do not fear. I was once in a ship during a solar storm. The sounds. This reminds me. Her voice cracked. Cale didn't speak. He just sat beside her, close enough to offer warmth but far enough to honor her boundaries. Slowly, she leaned her head against his shoulder. It was the first time she touched him willingly. As spring turned to summer, Lysera changed. She no longer barked orders. She laughed, rarely but honestly. She worked beside Cale, joined neighborhood picnics, to observe the peculiar earth rituals, and even learned to bake muffins from Mrs. Langley. One evening, after Cale returned from a late shift, he found her waiting on the porch. I repaired your father's bike, she said. The one in the shed. I assumed it held sentimental value. Cale stared at her, heart catching in his throat. He taught me to ride on that. I thought it was beyond repair. I do not like waste, she replied softly. Then added, and I have grown to appreciate the joy humans take in their memories. Something had changed. It was no longer punishment, it was partnership. Then the message came. A shimmering orb landed on their table, glowing with Velker insignia. Lysera read the transmission in silence. Your cycle is complete, she said finally. The council has lifted the decree. I may return. Cale's breath caught. So, you'll go. It is my duty. He forced a smile. Of course. This was all temporary, right? She didn't answer. That night they stood beneath the stars. Lysera wore a robe lined in luminescent threads, her old royal bearing returning like armor. Cale shoved his hands into his pockets. Will they assign another punishment when you mess up again? I do not plan to disobey again, she said. Earth taught me humility and heart. He laughed bitterly. Glad I could be your cosmic life lesson. She turned toward him. You think I feel nothing, that I saw you only as a sentence. But Cale, you touched my heart the first time you offered me warmth without demand. You repaired what arrogance had cracked. Then stay. Her voice cracked. It's not that simple. My world still sees this as disgrace. But, she stepped closer. But I no longer care for disgrace. I care for truth. And then for the first time she kissed him. It wasn't a command nor a test. It was surrender. 1 year later, a ship landed on the outskirts of Velker's capital. A new envoy stepped out, human and alien symbols stitched side by side on his jacket. Beside him stood Lysera, no longer just a princess but an ambassador, a leader changed by Earth. Together they walked toward the council. Together they would rewrite what punishment meant.